That's not necessarily true, by the way. Like, it's a happy medium. But that's how I was taught, so I actually don't have anything. I literally just sit down and do it, and then, you know, people I'm dating call me an asshole because I don't have a weird process or anything. But that is the truth. So my trick is to not have a trick. It's a very Tom Hanks type situation.
You do have that set schedule on your YouTube where you start at the 8:30, so that's kind of, in a way, it's open, I guess.
Sure, absolutely. If that's a structure, perhaps.
Yeah, there you go.
Is what I would say.
I envy the hell out of you. I have no. There's no, sacrificial goat. There's no. There's things I do that I think work that don't. Like, I went binging or something like I'll have a lot of sweets or something, or imagine I can get something done if I do an all-nighter. No, you just do it.
Kind of slow.
Dan actually does bring up something I should say. Like, if you do get blocked or something, if I get frustrated, because I'm not a robot, I get frustrated. A thing that does happen, it's not all-nighter, but I will stop and do something else, right? Like if you can't craft a story or something, or maybe I'll go do the laundry or I'll do the dishes or something, which sounds crazy, but after you do it, you're like, oh, I've accomplished something. So now I can go back and it doesn't seem like the hurdle it was before.
I have the best manicured nails on the days when like nothing is coming and or I'm not working it out right. But there's certain tricks or things. One of the things that sucks is you read tricks and things that you start using and then that person gets canceled and you feel like, well, now I feel I shouldn't say it. But no, Josh Beaton had a really good one, which was eat your dessert first. Like in your project, if there's a scene or a sequence that you're really fired up about, you know how that scene is going to work, jump ahead and write that scene. Because that's the thing that'll get you jumping into the pool and swimming around. Anything that gets you jumping into the pool and swimming around, sometimes it's the jump into the pool that's stopping you. But once you're in and you're swimming around, everything starts flowing. So if I'm writing that magic scene, it's better to write that scene when I'm passionate about it, when I'm really into it, as opposed to, God damn it, I gotta meet this deadline and now I'm cranking, and I'd much rather get stuff you have to do done in that zone than like, oh man, I love this one scene and I knew I was gonna get here. Or when I pitch the story in the room, that's the scene that excites everyone. And also, a good trick that I like is if you're in a flow and you know you have to sleep. The all-nighters are stupid. Sleep. Rest your brain, get up the next day. But if you know you're in a flow and you stop in mid-sentence when you're in a flow and you go, okay, now I'll go to sleep, means the next day when you wake up, you go, oh, I know how that sentence is going. And now it's easier to get the engine going again.
That's good. I don't have any magic tricks except that I have an intensely structured life. And in part that's because I'm juggling so many different projects, not just in comics, but in audio, in prose, nonfiction as well, screenplay. So if I don't have like a tightly organized schedule, I start to drop plates. So I sit down every day at 7:30. I write until approximately 4:30, and sometimes I have to, do a little bit of editing at night. I try not to, but sometimes you have to open up that laptop and get it at 9:30. And to be fancy for a moment, Flaubert said to be ordinary in your habits, so that you can be violent and extraordinary in your work. And I think that holds true. There's a Pavlovian response. If you sit down at the exact same time every day, maybe for some people that's just Monday morning. Or Wednesday morning. If that's all you have in your week, for 2 hours every morning, you're gonna write. There's a Pavlovian response where it's like the bell rings, the dog sounds. You're ready to go when you have most time you're into allotted for your writing.
There is a period where I look at how much work I produce a year compared to other guys in our industry, and I feel shame. And there was a time where I'm like, I need to up my productivity. So there'd be this 1 year where I was asking like other writers and cons, like, can I take you out for a drink? Can I sit down? I want to really know about your process. And I bring my notepad, and I was asking guys who I felt were just producing on like Charles Soule. When you hear how much Charles Soule does in a day, it'll scare you. He's also a lawyer. He does jogging in the morning, and he's in a band, along with everything else he does. And cherry on top is, he's a nice person. Yeah, no, but I started, like, I chasing Aaron, I was taking all these guys aside, and I would notice certain things, like, there were like 3 guys in a row who said they use noise canceling headphones, and they listen to like original like music that doesn't have words, and I'm like, I'm writing this down. And then when I was in the middle of doing that one year, when I was pulling people aside, I asked Robert Kirkman, like I get Robert Kirkman across the table, and I'm like talking to him, like, how do you do it? And I'm asking questions I'm asking everybody else. And my favorite, this is like that whole year when I was trying to find out how can I be more productive. And I said to Robert Kirkman, okay, when you're doing your second draft, and he goes, second draft, and he won't stop laughing. And that was like my favorite.
So one thing I was thinking about with all 3 of you, you all have in common that you come to franchises and titles that have been around for a long time and been established, and you're writing those titles now in your career. When it comes time to think about using existing characters in those pantheons versus creating your own original character, is there ever like a conscious thought to that? Like, do you ever go, you know what, I really want to put my own character in here right now, I think we need a new character because the story demands it? Or is it more like getting to have fun with the characters that already exist? Or is there any editorial control in that when you're with Marvel or DC that says, no, we don't want a new character, we want to use these characters because they suck? Is there that kind of a give and take process with the editorial when you're working on the title?
The emphasis, of course, is on the story from the writer's point of view, but you also have to think about sales. And editorial is definitely going to try to push you in that direction. You throw together a story in which you've got a bunch of new characters. I just tried to do that with another writer already in Bedwood when we announced him. And they're like, no, you need to have this character in there, and this character in there, and this character in there. More retailers will buy the issue and put it in the shops. So there is that, but to take your question into larger context, like, yes, these characters have been around sometimes for 80 years, for 50 years, and you have to honor that legacy, but people are also hungry for a new spin on that character. They want you to put a unique stamp on it. They don't just want you to play the hits, they want you to be a cover band, do karaoke. They want, like, okay, this is a signature version of Batman. Think about the way Scott Snyder wrote Batman versus the way Tom King wrote Batman. Scott Snyder, there's a lot of interiority, a lot of heavy narration. Tom King, it was all exterior. And it was about taking these characters and pulling them down and making them sort of ordinary, taking the extraordinary and making them ordinary. One of his best issues was that date night issue, where like Superman and they had the double date. I don't read a lot of these. But anyways, it's the same character tackled in an entirely different way. But there's an elasticity too, to like how far you can take these characters before they snap. I was joking the other day about how I can't just take Wolverine and make him throw beneath the ground and start referring to him as the Wolverine. That's not permitted. But I can have this opportunity to take Wolverine and ask the question, like, can he be happy? That was sort of like the central question I was wrestling with over the course of the crack open here. The answer is no. Wolverine is defined by pain. But along the way, you can also appreciate that point. But you can introduce new characters along the way as you're trying to do this unique spin on the character. And sometimes nobody cares about those characters. And sometimes they did, like Wolverine.
One of the things I do when I'm working on a book, I know I've got, like, if I'm working on Spider-Man, if I'm working on this or that or the other, I know I've got these popular characters in the mix. One of the things I have loved doing was the, fuck you, I'm gonna make you love Squirrel Girl.